Good morning, welcome back to the channel. So this morning I actually had a video set to go live. I pushed it back so it'll be going live tomorrow. I actually got a speaker upgrade here on the LG C9 OLED. It's the Logitech Z625. It's not a new speaker set, but I think I put together an interesting video comparing it to the TV sound quality. And so as I prepare to create content for the new gaming channel, link to that in the description. Some of you guys have been subscribing, so I appreciate that. As of Monday, I'm going live with some kind of gaming content that's going to be regular. But as I prepare to start playing more in here to get ready to create content, something just dawned upon me where I was thinking about the 4K at 120 frame per second opportunity from the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. So really quick, I'm on my son's account. Don't tell him because he trips out. Let's just go down to settings, right? I'm gonna slide back over here and we'll go to TV display options. We'll use the Xbox Series X as a reference. I think they do a good job of going through all the details. So this is plugged directly to this LG C9 OLED that does have 4K 120 frames per second. So just looking at the details, we know the TV resolution, we've got 4K 60 hertz, 4K 120. It tells you that you have to have a ultra high speed cable, yada yada, playing games. All green checks, right? All green checks here. And you essentially get the same thing with the PlayStation 5 also. So it puts us in a position where if you're going directly to from console to the TV, you're getting that. That's fine. Now, keeping in mind, only if the games are designed to take advantage of that frame rate where you see that fluidity of 120 frames per second and 4K. In most cases, like in the consoles being good enough video that I posted, I'll card that in right now. I talked about there being the upscaling rendering method that they have in games like Spider-Man for the PlayStation 5, where you can play at a steady 60 frames per second through the whole game, and that it actually looks good on a 77-inch TV. Sitting about 10, 12 feet away looks phenomenal, right? So do you really need 120 frames per second? Is not really what I'm questioning here. We're going to phase from here and go to my gaming desktop, and I'm going to talk to you about why I titled the video possibly the way that I did, which is that I pretty much given up on the thought of me needing to have 4K at 120 with these consoles. So let's go to my gaming desktop and then we'll talk some more. Okay, welcome to my game room. So this is where I am going to be creating my content when I am playing on console. The other room that we were just in is for my sons, my two sons. I bought those consoles for my 6-year-old and my 16-year-old kids. So as for them, I do have a gaming PC on there because currently I am testing the C9 out for some imperfections and some inconsistencies to help out a friend on the internet. But this is where I primarily will be playing. So to really kind of go back to my point that I was just making in the previous clip, I was talking about hooking up the consoles directly to a TV that has an HDMI 2.1 nets you the 4K 120. But if you're like me and you actually want to control the type of content you're creating, or you want to use a capture card, because that's really what we're focusing on, what are you going to get? So let's take a look. Come on over. We're going to look into the exact same settings. Got the Xbox Series X connected, even though it says PS5, it's because that was the last thing connected. So I'm on my account, and when we go to TV display options, number one, we definitely want to put that on 4K. But yeah, so if we go 120 hertz, it's going to kick us down to 1080p. If we go 4K, automatically 60 hertz, right? Because that's the limitation that my capture card has. So just looking at some of the details, right? We've got the fact that my TV, or the capture card, because it sees it as the TV, because the HDMI is coming out of the console and it's going into the capture card. So that's the TV. Does not support 4K at 120 hertz. Playing games, does not support Dolby Vision for gaming. Watching movies, does not support Dolby Vision because the capture card does not have that as an ability. There are no capture cards right now that are HDMI 2.1. There are no capture cards that have FreeSync. There are no capture cards that have G-Sync. There are no capture cards that have Dolby Vision for gaming or for movies. And so that's going to be the limitation here that we are focusing on, right? So is this a bad thing? Well, it really depends on who you are, because the good thing is if you are playing a competitive shooter, you do have the ability to play at 120 hertz. This capture card can actually do 1080p at up to 240 hertz. If it was connected to a gaming PC using an HDMI cable, you would have the ability to do up to that. You could do up to QHD at 120 also, or 144, excuse me, in 4K at 60, as you can see here with the consoles. So you'd have to ask yourself, what type of games do you play? Like, I mean, me primarily, I like to play fighting games, right? So that's like my genre of choice would be playing fighting games. Fighting games historically, we're talking Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct. We're talking King of Fighters. We're talking Marvel vs. Capcom. All those type of different games, different types of titles manufactured by different companies are going to run at 60 frames per second. For me, that's perfect. If I'm playing the Spider-Man game, another title I was talking about in the previous clip, I recently did that video about our consoles good enough. I use that game as a reference because in the fluidity mode, it runs at 60 frames, and you do get some ray tracing, which gives you realistic light, realistic shadows, realistic light reflections, and it looks really good. Playing it at 60 frames per second is perfect. When I'm playing games like Assassin's Creed, I like a lot of single player games where I can feel like I'm just entrenched and engulfed into the world. I'm experiencing it. I'm seeing textures. I love open world games. That's what's really important to me. That's the type of gamer I am. I'm either going to play a competitive fighting game, or I'm going to play a single player open world game that I can just develop and grow and learn to enjoy the environments. Those type of games are perfect for me at 60 frames per second, even when I'm playing on a gaming PC, right? Which both of my main desktops have RTX 3090 cards. I've got one on the C9, I've got one on this C1. And so I have the ability to play at 4K at a frame rate much higher than 60 frames, but I really don't ever do it. It's like, I don't need to, right? So if you're the person that's playing, as I said, the competitive games, the Call of Duty maybe, which I don't play that. If you're playing, dare I say, like first person shooters, let's just say that, Destiny, Halo, Call of Duty, Overwatch maybe, Gears even, right? I can understand, definitely, totally could get you wanting to play with the highest frame rate. Maybe it gives you an advantage of some kind. But really, this video just comes down to you considering your application. I've moved my two consoles, as you just seen, from my 77-inch C1 to my 61-inch C1 because they're going to be, to my 48-inch C1 because they're going to be connected to my capture card so that I can actually create content, produce content, put it out on my new gaming channel. And so for me, the 60 frames per second is perfect. I would love to know what you think and how you're using yours. If you even have a TV that can do 4K at 120, because all the TVs are not doing that. All the TVs don't give you the ability to have HDMI 2.1. So are you missing it? Are you looking forward to buying a TV that's got it? If so, are you going to be, creating content? Are you going to be streaming directly through the console? Are you going to be making clips directly through the console? Are you looking to make your stuff? If you are, then you're going to have to plug it up to a capture card. As of right now, as of this recording, there are no HDMI 2.1 capture cards. So I have no way to capture that content and retain the bells and whistles, if you will, that you get that are advertised on the console boxes. If you got any comments, leave them down below. Let's have a conversation. This is my upload for Tuesday morning. Expect the Logitech speaker review to be coming up Wednesday morning. As I always say, Max Love.